If the B-2 strikes had not happened, the White House argues Iran would have kept moving toward a nuclear weapons capability. That is the frame coming out of Washington, and Trump's public line has stayed simple. Stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons, keep oil flowing, and keep pressure high. Now the question everybody is asking is the one the thumbnail is trying to answer with maximum drama. Is a ground move on Kharg Island actually starting? Right now, public reporting does not show a confirmed assault. What it does show is something more serious than rumor and more limited than invasion. A real buildup of options around a vital Iranian oil hub. At Al Udeid in Qatar, the real picture is readiness, coordination, and missile defense. CENTCOM said in January it opened a new combined air defense cell at the base with regional partners inside the Combined Air Operations Center. Reuters separately reported that Qatar had taken precautionary measures at the U.S.-run base because of regional tensions. So yes, Al Udeid matters. It is a command node. It is a contingency hub. But there is no public official statement saying the base is now the launch point for a confirmed U.S. ground assault on Kharg. That leap is exactly where viral scripting outruns verified evidence. Instead, the visible tempo is the kind you get when commanders want options kept open. Air defense integration, threat warning sharing, regional drills, maritime pressure in and around the Gulf. And that matters because once you start talking about Kharg, you are talking about a target inside Iran's economic heartbeat and within reach of Iranian missiles and drones. Every aircraft turn, every ship movement, every command post update matters more when the battlefield is the Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz, and the export routes that feed world markets. That is why readiness footage feels like prelude, even when it does not prove an order has been given. Then there is the force flow everybody is latching onto. Reuters reported the United States is deploying thousands of additional Marines and sailors to the Middle East, including the USS Boxer, its Marine Expeditionary Unit, and accompanying warships. One U.S. official told Reuters the unit has about 2,500 Marines. The point of that move is capacity. It gives Washington more reach, more lift, more strike options, and more flexibility if the crisis widens. But Reuters also reported that no decision had been made to send troops into Iran itself. That single line changes the entire meaning of the buildup. And if more forces arrive, the first job is not Hollywood. It is protection, posture, and leverage. Reinforcing bases, protecting airfields, expanding missile defense, supporting naval operations, preserving room for the White House to choose between pressure, escort missions, strikes, or something riskier later. Reuters reported the administration has weighed options ranging from securing tanker passage through the Strait of Hormuz to discussing possible ground force options tied to Kharg Island. That is a huge difference from saying the landing craft are already in the water. One is contingency planning. The other is war execution. Public reporting confirms the first. It does not confirm the second. Now bring Kharg into focus, because this is where the story becomes geoeconomic, not just military. Reuters says the island handles 90% of Iran's oil exports. It sits off Iran's coast in deep enough water to load huge tankers, and even minor disruption there can tighten global supply. That is why analysts keep calling it a pressure point and a vulnerability. Control Kharg and you squeeze Tehran's revenue. Strike Kharg and you risk a wider regional response. Either way, you are no longer talking about a symbolic target. You are talking about the financial valve of the Iranian state. And this is the twist. Reuters did report that the Trump administration discussed options to send ground forces to Kharg Island. It also reported that one U.S. official called such an operation very risky, and that the sources did not believe any deployment of ground forces in Iran was imminent. The White House line to Reuters was, just as important, there has been no decision to send ground troops at this time. So if you want the clean version, here it is. Kharg is on the options board. Kharg is not publicly confirmed as a live assault order. That distinction is the difference between analysis and fiction. Why does that distinction matter? Because a real move on Kharg would demand more than hype. It would demand air cover, suppression of missiles and drones, protection for shipping lanes, and a plan to absorb Iranian retaliation. CENTCOM's own posture language describes Iran as a force with ballistic missiles, drones, proxies, and the ability to threaten key choke points. With little warning, the White House, meanwhile, has been explicit that it wants Iran blocked from nuclear weapons, but not a protracted ground war. That tells you the tension inside the story. Maximum pressure, minimum entanglement, fast escalation, but with a ceiling if they can keep one. And that is why the phrase blockade impossible is too clean for a very dirty map. Iran can threaten energy routes. The United States retains air and naval options to keep oil moving. Reuters notes that roughly 20% of global oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz, while Trump said publicly he would not allow the world's oil supply. to be held hostage. So the real fight is not a simple yes or no blockade. It is a contest over who can impose costs faster, who can keep traffic moving, and who blinks first when pressure hits fuel prices, shipping insurance, and domestic politics. So here is the verified bottom line. The region is not calm. Additional Marines are moving. Kharg matters enormously. Ground force options have been discussed. Udeid is part of a real readiness network, but there is still no credible public confirmation that 3,000 U.S. Marines are already launching an assault on Kharg Island, and there is no verified evidence that a ground assault has begun. What exists right now is the stage before that. Assets moving, contingencies expanding, and a White House that wants Iran boxed in without publicly owning the words boots on the ground. That is the moment we are in, and that is why everybody is watching the next move.